So it's my turn to bet. So what am I going to do? There are a few choices here. So I could fold. I'm obviously not going to do that. I've already said these are good cards, so I'm not going to fold. So if I'm going to bet, my minimum bet is going to be to match the big blind. That I have to do. That's the smallest bet we can do going forward, is the big blind amount. So I can just match that. Why would I want to just match that? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One, if there's lots of hands, just two connector cards aren't necessarily that strong. And so I might want to see how the hand plays out. So what I'm trying to do is get in. I want to keep playing, but I want to do it for the minimum amount. Okay? So that's one reason I might do it. Another reason I might do it is, I've already said, I think this is a strong hand. So one of the reasons I might do it is because if I do that, I'm saying, I think I have a really strong hand. That's the natural thing it says. We'll talk more about it. It doesn't always say that, but the natural inkling is, I think this is strong. So I might actually go like this if I think this is a hand that's going to hold up over a while, and what I want is I'd like everybody to play. Okay? What I want is everybody else to stick out as much chips as they want. So that's another reason I might do the minimum bet. Okay? What are my other options? Well, raising is the other option. I will tell you that one of the standard traditional books rules of, it's not a rule, but standard concepts of poker is, if it's worth playing this hand, it's worth playing it for three big blinds. That's kind of the standard bet. And that is one I use a lot. It's one that when I'm playing online poker, even when I'm playing at casino tables, one of the things I like to do is I like to not give away information at this point. And so one of the things I'm very likely to do is, if I'm going to play this pot, I'm going to play the pot the same way every single time. It doesn't matter if I'm playing with weak cards or a bluff or strong cards or whatever. I'm going to play exactly the same. And so I'm likely to pick a number like three big blinds. And if I'm in, I'm going to play three big blinds. Why? Because it says to everybody else, after you've seen me do it 10 times, you now know it doesn't mean anything. It just means he's in. And I picked a bigger amount because the standard for three big blinds is three big blinds is a reasonably big amount of chips. Okay, it's considered a reasonably big amount of chips. Where does that come from? Well, if you're playing in a tournament, so a tournament one of the standard thing that makes a tournament different than everything else is there's only going to be one winner. So you're going to play until one person has all of the chips. So one of the things you need to know is, if we're playing down to 0 chips, when is my chip stack really small? When do I have to start panicking about the fact that I'm about to be out of the tournament? Here's another standard adage. The standard adage is 10 big blinds. At 10 big blinds, I'm now in panic mode. Okay? There's a reason for that, and it has a lot to do with every time the turn goes all the way around, it's going to cost me a minimum a blind and a half. Okay? Which means that I'm going to lose 15% of my total every time it goes by. Okay? It also means that I'm down to a point where I really can't shove somebody else out of anything. I am unlikely at 10 big blinds to have enough chips to scare somebody away from a hand. So now I can't go, you've got a couple of good cards over there. Do you think it's that good? And now you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I really think they're good cards, but in this case, if we're looking at, I haven't even told you how much these chips are worth. Obviously, this one's worth twice as much as that one. That's because I don't care right now. But it's likely to be, if I put that out there, that looks like a lot of chips. And if you're this person, or this person who only has a couple of these, you're likely to go, wow, I now have to risk everything. Do I think the two cards I'm sitting with are worth everything? It's now an all or nothing game. Okay, so that's a very, very strong move. If I only have 10 big blinds, that's in a tournament. Obviously, that's not what I've got laid out here. But in a tournament, that standard is 10 big blinds. Once I'm under 10 big blinds, I'm up against people who are going to be able to dominate that. And And usually in a tournament, if you're under 10 big blinds and you push all in, that means you put in everything you have. That's that 10 big blinds or less typical move. Is now at 10 big blinds, I'm waiting for a chance to put everything in. By the way, this would be a time I'd put everything in. At 10 big blinds, I'm going to push everything in. If you only have 10 big blinds, you will almost always get called. It's a typical thing for whoever has the most chips. If nobody else is going to do it, whoever has the most chips is going to call you. Because at this stage, it's just a roll of the dice on almost any two cards. We'll talk about the odds at some point of any two cards, but they're not that good, actually. And so, because it's always a roll of the dice, the person who has the most chips is going to try to knock that person out. That's just a typical thing. Anybody who's got really good cards might jump in there and do it first. Okay? So, 3 big blinds, reasonably strong bet. And for me, what this says is I think these are reasonably good cards. Okay? And what it says is the part of the reason I like doing something bigger than this. Part of the reason I like to do this is because it increases the chances other people are going to drop out, and now I'm playing against less hands. I'm now likely, remember, this person was in for this much already. If I only put this much in, I'm pretty much playing against this person. There's zero reason. So far, I've given this person no reason to go away. This person can now get in cheap, okay? Because they're in for half of it anyway. If I only do this, they got to go in anyway. They're going to do it. Unless their cards, even if their cards are pretty bad, they're likely to do it because they're getting in. One of these odds things, talking about the complexity of this, is right now, this is half of one of these, which means there's 4 of these sitting out there, which means they have a chance to win 4 of them for 1 of them. That's good odds. That says that if 1 out of 4 times I can do it, that's the right move. So if I only put this much in, they only need to win it 1 out of 4 times to make that worth it. Okay? So I've really invited everybody to keep playing with me. If I do this, now this person's going, okay, I got to commit a lot more to keep doing it. This person has to up their risk to 3 times what it is. Okay? So these people, I've said maybe we'll play against less of them. In most cases, I would like to play against less of them because as the number of cards build up, now the number of cards is building up less, and my cards are now stronger against that. Okay? So those are the basic ideas of how I do that. So let's say that I did that. Let's say this person folded. So we'll just make it easier. That person went away. So that person's gone. This person decides they're going to stay in. And so they're in. This person decides they're in. So now we're 3-handed.